In today's lecture, we're going to learn how to draw the human face. Now, I'm going to break this down into very simple steps for you. So the first thing we need to understand is that the human head is basically broken up into two shapes. The first shape is a circle. So we can go ahead and draw a circle on our paper, like so. Then the second shape is going to be the jawline. And the jawline is basically made out of a square and a triangle. Only the square tapers off a little bit, like so. And then there's a pointy triangle end to that square, just like so. And depending on the person you're drawing, the jawline might be different. So if you're drawing more of a masculine type character, you might extend this jawline further out and make it more square. If you're drawing more of a girl or someone with more feminine facial features, you're going to also want to change the jawline or maybe keep it like this. It just depends on what kind of character. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and draw a line right through the middle of our head vertically. And then we're going to draw one horizontally. So you're going to try to find the middle of this line right here. And generally it tends to be towards the bottom of this circle. So it's going to be about 1/4 of the way down from this circle. Now that looks a little bit too low. So I'm going to bring that up just a little bit more to about there. And then I'll go ahead and erase this bottom line. Next, you're going to want to find the 2/3 and the 1/3 spot between this line right here and this bottom of your chin. So first there's about 1/3 right there. And then we've come about another 1/3 up. So we have 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add the eyes in. So this line right here, that's the line that your eyes are going to be on. Now, generally, your eyes are going to fit on your head 5 across. So you're going to start off with one basically eyeball in the center of your face, and then you're going to have another eyeball right there, and then another one right there, and then you'll have another one that goes all the way out to the outer edge of your head. But we only want these two right here that are in the middle. So all the other circles, we can go ahead and erase those. We just wanted to draw them to find the placement of our eyes. So that means we're going to have an eye on this circle right here and an eye on this circle right here. Next, we need to go ahead and draw the shape of the eye. Now, at the beginning of this course, we drew an eye as our first project. And we didn't go into too much explanation of how the eye works, and I'm still not going to go into too much explanation. I'm going to explain how to draw the eye in the next few lectures, but for now, we're just going to go ahead and draw the shape of our eye in like so, and we want it to fit within that circle, and then we want to copy that over as best we can onto the other circle, only we want the shape of the eye to be flipped. Next, we're going to go ahead and draw the nose. So the nose is going to be down here at this next line that we created, or we could even come down a little bit further depending on how we want our face to look. If we want him to have a very long, big nose, we would come down a little bit further from that line. If we wanted it to be average, we'd stay at that line. And if we wanted them to have a very small, short nose, we would come up just a little bit. But in this case, we're going to make it about an average nose. So we're going to go ahead and start to draw in the shape of the nose. And don't worry if you don't know how to draw the nose, because just like the eye, in later lectures, I'm going to teach you how to draw the nose. For now, we'll just go ahead and draw that in and try to copy what I'm doing as best as possible. Now, a good way to make sure that your nose is a good size is you can draw a line coming straight down from the corner, the inside corner of your eye on both eyes, like so. And that's about the average size of a nose. So use that as a guide. So if you want a bigger nose, make it bigger than these two lines. And if you want it to be smaller than the average nose, then make it smaller than these two lines. Next, let's go ahead and add in the lips. So lips generally are going to be, on average, straight down from the middle of the eye, and that's going to give you the width of where your lips should be. So we can go ahead and add in our lips on this line right here. And then we're going to go ahead and just draw that in, like so. We'll draw the top part of the lip, and then we'll draw the bottom part of the lip. Then I can continue to work that shape till I get it looking the way I want. And again, depending on how big you want the lips to be, if you want them to be bigger than the average lips, extend them further than this line. And if you want them to be smaller, then make them smaller than these two lines. So in this case, I want them to be a little bit smaller. This is going to be a girl, and girls' lips tend to be a little bit smaller in width. All right, next what we want to do is we want to add in the ears. So the ears generally are going to be on this line that your eyes are on. So the ears are going to come a little bit above that, like so, and then it'll extend off the head, and then it's going to line up with the line for the nose. So the nose line is about there, so that's going to be about the bottom of our ears. And just like everything else, if you want your ears to be larger, then extend them past those two guidelines. If you want them to be smaller, make them smaller than those two guidelines. Next, we need to find our hairline. So depending on what kind of hairline your character has, they might be balding, they might have a widow's peak, but generally the average is going to be right about here, about 2/3 away from the top of your head. If they have a bigger forehead, then that can come up even further. If they have a smaller forehead, then that can come down even more. So we're going to go ahead and draw a line across like so, and we want it to be just a little bit curved. And then we're going to come down like this into the sideburns, like so. And so that's our basic general hairline. And then if you had a widow's peak, you could go ahead and add in a widow's peak there. But for this character, we're not going to have any type of a widow's peak. And then we can go ahead and sketch in whatever type of hair we want. So in this case, I'm going to make it a girl. And I want her hair to kind of swoosh over like so, and then hang down the side of her neck. All right, great. Now, lastly, we want to go ahead and add in the neck for our character. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the neck in like so, and it starts a little bit further in from the size of the head, and then it sort of curves in and then curves back out just like so. And then we also want to go ahead and add in the eyebrows. So this also depends on your character. If it's a guy, they're probably going to be a lot more bigger and square, and if it's a girl, they're going to be more thin and have a lot more shape to them. So since this is a girl, we're going to bring the eyebrows to about straight up from the corner of the inside of their eye, so starting about there, and then we're going to bring them over like so, just like a thin square box, and then they're going to taper off in the other direction like so. We'll do the same thing for the other eye. So starting about there at the same level, we'll make that thin box, a rectangle type of shape, and then it'll taper off like so. Now, a thing to note is when you're creating your characters, the bigger their forehead looks, the younger they're going to look. And same with their eyes. The bigger their eyes, the younger they'll look. So if you're drawing, let's say, a baby character, you're going to want their eyes to be really big, and you're going to want their forehead to be really big. Also, the smaller the mouth, the more young they look. And so if you're drawing a baby, you want their mouth to be very, very small. Now, let's go ahead and start adding detail to our character. So first off, I'm going to start with the eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my pupils. And then we can go ahead and add in the eyelashes. And then we're going to go ahead and add in the eyelids. So just right here on the top, we'll add a thin line like so. Same with this side. We can add a little bit of shadowing underneath this eyelid for that eye. Next, we can go ahead and darken in those eyebrows and smooth them out a bit more. Now let's go ahead and move on to the nose. So the nose is basically already drawn the way we want it. We just want to add in some more shading in there. So along this bottom edge, we want that to be shaded in. We can add maybe a little bit more shape to the nose here. And we can also add a little bit of shadowing along this edge of the nose as it comes down on both sides of the nose, coming from the top of the eye all the way down to this part of the nose. And then I'm going to go ahead and start to erase away some of these guidelines that we have here. Now let's go ahead and move on to the lips. So the lips are two different planes. So the top plane is facing downwards. So if our light is coming from the top, that means that the top part of the lips is going to be getting the shadow. So let's go ahead and fill that in with a darker shadow color. And then we're going to go ahead and do the bottom part of the lips. And the bottom part we want to be really soft. So we don't just want to draw a hard edge for that bottom shape. We only want to add a shadow underneath that. So we'll just go ahead and add in a darker area underneath the lips, right there, like so. And then we can go ahead and move on to the shape of the head. So starting with right here, we can go ahead and straighten that out a little bit more. And then we can add a little bit more of a cheekbone in there. And then let's go ahead and shape out that jawline further. So it's going to curve out of this part of the jaw, and then it'll start to curve back in towards the chin. And then we'll go ahead and add a nice chin in there. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So it's going to curve more in down here, and then curve out a little bit more towards the end of our jawline. Then we can go ahead and work on these ears. Now, I don't want to get too much into the ears right now because they get really complicated, but in one of these lectures, I'm going to teach you how to draw the ear exactly, because I know that ears can be extremely complicated when you're trying to draw them. But for now, we're just going to draw in a basic shape for them, just so we get the idea across that there are ears right there on her head. All right, perfect. Next, let's go ahead and move on to shading her face. So first off, we're going to have a little bit of a shadow coming from the top part of her hair and right over here. And then we're going to add a little bit of shading along this edge of the brow area. And same with this side, there'll be a little bit of shading along this edge too, like so. And then we can go ahead and add a little bit of shading in for the cheekbones, since that will also be creating a little bit of a shadow. And then we want to add a little bit of shadow along this bottom edge of the jaw. As it curves underneath, there's going to be a tiny bit of shadow. And then down here on the neck, we're going to get a little bit of a cast shadow from that. So we're going to go ahead and add in that cast shadow just like so. And we can soften that a little bit more so it's not such a hard edge. We can also add a little bit of a cast shadow coming from the nose, like so. Perfect. Next, let's go ahead and detail that hair in just a little bit further. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this around like so. And really, hair is just the idea of movement. It's the idea of lines flowing. And so if you don't do really long, broad strokes, the hair is not going to look right. So you want to make sure that you're drawing long, broad strokes. They go for a long distance. So if I were to go like this, it just doesn't work. We want to make sure that they're long, broad strokes, and we don't stop them. Now this takes practice to be able to just draw long, broad strokes and know exactly where they need to go, but you will get the hang of it with practice. Now we're not going to go into too much detail with the hair, but I will do a lecture on how to draw realistic hair. But for now, this will do. All right, that brings us to the end of this lecture. So in this lecture, you learn how to draw the front view of the human face. So just remember, first off, you want to create a circle for the head. Once you do that, you're going to create the chin shape or the jawline. And then you want to find the middle of that in both directions, horizontally and vertically. And then you want to find where your 5 circles are to represent your eyes. And then you want to draw your eyes in on the 2 middle ones, leaving out the one in the very center. And then from there, you can use that to guide yourself to find where the nose should be, where the mouth should be, and your hairline. And then you can go ahead and start adding in all your detail and drawing it all in. In the next lecture, we're going to go ahead and learn how to draw the human head, but from a profile view. Thanks for watching this lecture, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next